I, female, 35, have been married to my husband Oscar, male, 35, for 10 years. We met during residency at a hospital and fell in love. Oscar's mom has always been critical of me and is honestly the only spanner in the works. She's the only thing I can complain about when it comes to my husband. I'm lucky to have him. Now, the reason I'm writing this post is because Oscar refused to take part in a decades long family tradition after my mother in law consistently kept excluding me from it. She's blaming both me and my husband, and I feel like me being upset at being left out is not that big of a deal in front of the possible friction I have caused in the family. Let me explain. Oscar's family grew up in a rural area, and his parents both still live on a large farm with huge tracts of land. When it's time to harvest their corn crop, Oscar's parents have a cooking competition where the family has to use a part of the harvest to make a corn dish. Cornbread, corn soup, whatever takes your fancy. Just the corn has to be a part of the main dish. It's a cute and corny little tradition, which I personally find adorable. I love going there and seeing all the quirky dishes family members come up with. One time, Oscar's cousin even made corn ice cream. Now, I would love to be a cook and contribute my dishes too, but my mother in law has never let me be a part of it. I go to their farm every year with Oscar, but I'm treated more like an unwanted guest than a family member by her. The excuse she gave me was that only family members can cook. But I mean, aren't I family by now? I think she just resents the fact that my upbringing is so different from Oscar's and that she thinks I'm not the right fit for him. Ever since we got married, I have attended every single one of these corn harvests, and everyone in the family seems to love me except my mother in law. Nobody dares to go against her by including me in the tradition, though, because she's kind of the matriarch of the family. Last year, I was really offended because it was the first time my brother in law's wife was a part of the family, and my mother in law immediately let her submit a dish. It was a blatant double standard, and I left the room and cried alone. I knew the only reason she was so friendly to her other daughter in law was because they were from the same background. Oscar immediately came to check on me, and I finally opened up to him about how I felt excluded. I admit, I was an idiot for hiding it for 9 years. I mean, I knew my husband would be supportive and understanding, but I was just nervous, scared. I don't know. When I did tell him, he told me he had no idea that I felt that way. To be fair, I was good at masking my emotions. It was just this incident that opened the floodgates. He immediately wanted to go down and confront my mother in law, but I didn't want to create a scene. He agreed, we made some kind of excuse and went back home. After that, I thought Oscar swept it under the rug because he never brought it up again. I was disappointed, probably for the first time in my marriage, and I just accepted that I would never be a part of that tradition. After a point, I blocked it away and pretty much let it be. After all, it was just once a year. This year, when the corn harvest came along, I asked my husband about our plans, and he casually said, "We're not going, babe." I guess he thought it was obvious from last time that we wouldn't be taking part in the harvest anymore, at least not until I was given the respect I deserved. I felt so happy to hear that, and we decided that we would hold our ground and see what happened. Naturally, my mother in law called to ask when we were coming when we didn't show up on the first day, and Oscar calmly explained his reasons for not coming. Mother in law said that I was exaggerating and said that he would be the first person in the family to opt out of coming together for the harvest, and she thinks it's my doing. My husband, champ that he is, calmly said that he would come if it was guaranteed that I could present a dish too and feel included. The conversation got super heated, and Oscar ended the call by saying, "I can't talk to you right now. Call me when you've learned to respect my wife. I know that my mother-in-law must have immediately made a scene because I got a bunch of text messages from Oscar's side of the family. Some were curious, asking me what happened. Others were conciliatory, saying that this is just how Oscar's mom was, and I should just come to keep the peace. A few were straight up on my side and said that it was wrong of my mother-in-law to keep purposely excluding me, and this might just be the wake-up call she needs to know that not everything can be done her way. I was feeling quite overwhelmed, but the messages I got telling me that it's just how she is made me realize that my mother-in-law has a long history of being stubborn. I feel like unless I say to Oscar that I am okay with it, he won't back down either, and there's going to be a rift in the family for a long time. Neither son nor mother will give the other an inch of space. AITA for making this happen? Update 1. It's been 2 days, and the harvest tradition is going on without us. Mother-in-law is just going to ice us out and pretend like none of this is happening. However, a lot of people texted, not just me, but Oscar as well, claiming that it was important for him to not burn any bridges with his mom. He's been strongly on my side during all of this, though. In fact, he said that he would do something that would make his mom realize how I felt. I had no idea what he was planning, but I found out that evening. Oscar had organized a little wine party with all of our friends from the city, people who are in residency with us, colleagues, friends, neighbors, the works. It was both a really nice way to get our mind off things and also to, as I later realized, take a jibe at his mom. The party was lovely, and somehow this conversation about my mother-in-law also came up. Naturally, everyone was on my side, and they agreed to take a group photo together. Oscar then posted this on his Facebook profile with the caption, "To new traditions." It's inflammatory. It's going to make the issue worse, and it's damn funny. I don't know how to react to it, but all of Oscar's family follows him. I'm sure we'll be hearing about it soon. Update 2. Things definitely blew up. Mother-in-law publicly commented on the post saying, "Disappointing," and some of the ballsier cousins just reacted to it. However, I do think it made my mother-in-law realize that she doesn't have the upper hand when it comes to this fight. Oscar and I are quite independent, and I had a heart-to-heart with him. While he does think he would like a relationship with his mom, he is absolutely not willing to compromise when it comes to my inclusion and making me feel respected. I also feel like I need to stand up for myself more. And reading your comments has made me realize I shouldn't be overthinking about how to appease people or ensure Oscar doesn't offend his mom. I should just accept his support and also stand up for myself. This advice came in handy real fast because I got a call from guess who? Yep, my mother-in-law. She was fully ready to walk all over me and force me to apologize for manipulating my husband against her, but I cut her off and told her, "I've had enough of feeling like a stranger among the people who are supposed to accept me. You're my mother-in-law, but your behavior is so distant. I don't get it. The rest of the family accepts me. Why don't you?" She was silent for a whole minute after this, and when she finally replied, her voice was super shaky. She finally opened up to me and said that she was afraid because Oscar was in a really toxic relationship in his teens, and it even sent him into a deep, deep depression. She was afraid of me since she had never known me before, i.e., I wasn't from their small town. That made her feel hesitant to include me in her family because she didn't know whether I would treat my husband right. I felt really bad about her insecurity and fear, but I also asserted myself and told her that it didn't justify her trashy behavior towards me for all these years. I told her that I had done nothing but make Oscar happy, and the evidence was right in front of her eyes. I also said that just because I knew where she was coming from now, it didn't mean that I had forgotten or forgiven all the exclusion she had made me feel throughout the years. I was willing to speak to her and rebuild our relationship from the ground up, but I needed to see the initiative coming from her. With that, we ended the call pretty amicably, and she said that she would try and work on her behavior and on regaining my trust. When I spoke about making Oscar nothing but happy, she said that it made her find her faith in me. Update 3. Guess what came in the mail yesterday? Some cornbread, all the way from Oscar's parents' farm. And mother-in-law and father-in-law called and asked if they could come over and stay for a bit to make amends. Oscar and I are okay with that, and he even took down his Facebook post because he knew that his mom found it really disrespectful. My in-laws have been nothing but nice during their time here, and my mother-in-law has been constantly giving me respect and space, and that's been good to experience. She also apologized explicitly, which was really surprising too, but that's a good sign for rebuilding our relationship in the future. Oscar and I are happy that we stood up for ourselves because it made my mother-in-law realize what she was doing was based on her own prejudices. NTA, and your man is amazing. Glad he sticks up for you when it comes to the in-laws because my husband has a lot of trouble doing that. NTA, it does seem like your mother-in-law knows what she did wrong. It's good that you didn't go no contact and were open to dialogue. She's been disrespecting you passively for years, so it's good that you finally stood your ground. P.S. The Facebook post was hilarious. Wish I could do that to some people in my life. Next story. Me, 23, male, and my girlfriend, 23, female, have been dating 3 years, and we've been living together for 1. Some relevant context. When we first met, she had a little extra weight on her, but I didn't ever really notice it, and I found her very attractive. Fast forward to around 2 years ago, she got serious about getting into better shape and made significant changes to her lifestyle, particularly diet. The weight came off really quickly, and in total, she's lost about 25 pounds. She's 5'4" and now weighs around 123 pounds and has been this stable weight for about 6 months. I've been supportive the whole time. While that's all great, since she first started losing weight, she's expressed to me that she's now terrified of gaining weight again and being fat, even though I've told her that I never thought she was fat before and definitely isn't now. She keeps pretty close tabs on calories and gets very stressed out if she feels she's eaten too much throughout the day. I know it isn't a great state of mind, but I don't think it's serious because it doesn't really affect her functioning in life. Now, for the current situation, she's been very frustrated about the little bit of pouch she has on her stomach, that she doesn't understand why it hasn't gone away. We work out together every other day, and she's told me that she tries to eat 1,200 calories a day or less to try and lose that last bit of fat and get a flatter stomach. A couple of days ago, she told me that she's been reading and thinks she's probably actually been eating too little and is going to now try to eat 1,400 calories per day to boost her metabolism or something like that. I said, cool. Yesterday morning, we both had the day off. And for a late breakfast, early lunch, she ate avocado, toast, 2 eggs, and an orange. About an hour later, she said she was hungry and had a small bowl of frozen veggies. It was kind of surprising to see her eat so much, so I just made the observation, that's a lot of food. She gave me an upset look and said she's hungry, to which I replied, I'm not hungry and I've only eaten a hot dog today, which was true. I didn't say that to be a jerk. I just kind of didn't understand how she could have been hungry when I wasn't hungry and I'm 6 foot, 185 pounds. It just kind of caught me off guard, that was all. I didn't mean anything by it. Anyway, she got kind of sad and said okay that she wouldn't eat anything else until dinner. We've both kind of been avoiding each other since then, and I can definitely tell she feels hurt. Personally, I think she's being too sensitive, but AITA? Update. We ended up having a really good talk. I apologized and said that I shouldn't have commented on how much she was eating, period, and that I won't do it again. I also apologized for comparing my hunger needs to hers and that I realized that was stupid. She accepted and said that I need to start thinking about things from her perspective more, which she's right about. I realize I'm lucky she's as understanding as she is. Then I told her that I'm glad she's been eating when she feels hungry and that really put her at ease. She started talking about how much better she feels physically since she started eating more, and I told her that makes me very glad because I truly just wanted to feel healthy and happy. The convo felt very good and open, so I gently approached the topic of disordered eating, and she says she's very aware she has these issues, but that she feels she can handle them herself and all she wants from me is support. I emphasize that I think she's beautiful how she is and that the pouch that bothers her literally does not bother me at all. She said she was glad to hear that and that she's on her own, been trying to accept herself, that it's just been really hard. So, yeah, it all went really well, and I feel like I understand her a lot better and I know how to better support her. And she was very glad that I apologized. Thank you to everyone who helped me see that I was the a-hole and tried to give me actual advice instead of assuming I actually don't care about her. YTA, I get that you don't understand how she can be hungry, but as you said, she just changed her diet in order to boost her metabolism, and guess what? You two have different metabolisms, different needs. If she exercises a lot, the avocado, toasts, and eggs and orange is a great breakfast, and the frozen veggies is a treat. If she's hungry, that's great. You sound like she was devouring 3 chocolate bars and a huge chunk of white bread with cheese. Don't make her feel guilty while she's eating healthy food. Between the veggies and the hot dog. YTA. Do not gatekeep someone's food. Do not comment about her weight, her eating, what she eats, how much she eats, when she eats. STFU. About her eating. The woman was eating vegetables. People have very individual metabolisms, and what you are able to eat and how hungry you are has jack all to do with her, and to compare is a complete a-hole move. The woman is literally starving herself. Do you get that? And you came in and told her she was eating too much? YTA. You should know that she's been obsessing about her weight and what she eats. Any comments made about either will trigger her. Next story. My partner is Michael and my stepson is Grant, 10 years. Tonight we had lasagna and salad for dinner. Grant has a portion of lasagna that was as small as his fist, which is the usual metric we use for his portion sizes to make sure we aren't giving him more than he can handle. He took a few bites of salad and literally 2 bites of lasagna and then said he was full. Like every kid, we struggle with getting Grant to finish his plate. So over time, we've tried a lot of different strategies to get him to eat or to figure out why he doesn't want to. He's 10, not 2, so he's at an age where he's capable of articulating his feelings, wants, and needs. Sometimes, if he doesn't like food, he will say he's full because he doesn't want to eat the rest. So we asked him if he was really full or if he didn't like the lasagna. Grant said he was full. We asked if he would like something else, like pizza rolls or a PB&J. Again, he said he was full. He has a tendency to say he's full, then ask for junk food 20 minutes later. So when we took his unfinished plate away, we reminded him that since he didn't finish dinner, he doesn't get to have dessert or junk snacks. But if he is hungry later, we are happy to make him the food options we listed earlier or have a healthier snack like a granola bar or veggies and dip. And if he finished a healthier snack, then we will consider some dessert type stuff. We don't want to deny him food if he's hungry, but also don't want him to load up on sugar closer to bedtime. We made sure he made eye contact and understood what we were telling him. It gets to be around 8:30 p.m. and Michael and Grant are in the living room playing Xbox together. So I slip away to have a couple of bites of ice cream by myself in the kitchen. Well, Grant got up and came into the kitchen to grab a snack from his snack station. It has granola bars, little bags of chips, fruit snacks, etc. And he saw me. Immediately asked if he could have some ice cream, and when I reminded him of what we discussed earlier, he burst into tears. Now, Michael is saying that I was inconsiderate of Grant's feelings by waving the ice cream in his face and that I should have taken it into our bedroom so he wouldn't have seen it at all. If I were the a-hole in this, it would be because I ate dessert when Grant wasn't allowed to have any. But I wasn't blatant about it. And I am an adult who deserves to eat what I want in my house. Grant had a long list of options to choose from if he was still hungry, and he understood that dessert was a reward. NTA, Grant said he wasn't hungry and was aware that he wouldn't be allowed ice cream after barely touching his dinner. 10 is way too old to be crying over not being allowed ice cream, especially after not eating his dinner and insisting that he wasn't hungry. Also, you didn't wave the ice cream in his face. You were eating it in a different room. RO1. I gave him a lot of passes on dramatic behavior because he has some issues that aren't being handled consistently between homes. Most nights, as soon as we get him tucked into bed, he asks for a bedtime snack because that's what his mom's side allows him to do. We do our best to establish a system that he understands and is able to agree to, but he still pushes it. NTA. Sometimes being a proper parent sucks. Grant knew ice cream wasn't allowed. Tears are a pretty typical reaction at that age, especially in the seeing ice cream when you aren't allowed ice cream situation. Also, your husband is the a-hole. You were in another room enjoying dessert. Kids just effing know when the junk food comes out and they find it. I could almost guarantee if you had gone to your bedroom, he would have found you there. Blaming you for a 10-year-old crying when he realized there was ice cream he couldn't have is ridiculous. Next story. Context. Me, 30, female, and my soon-to-be husband, 30, male, Max, have been dating for almost 6 years and we're getting married in July. Okay, so what I did is that I asked Max to not invite one of his friends, Sebastian, 31, male, not his best friend for your information, to our wedding. Max and Sebastian met each other at school and they kept in touch after years, mostly a texting, video calling friend, but he came to visit us sometimes and we would go to the same parties, events every so often. First things first, I'm not a bridezilla, okay? Max said, nope, he's coming, and that was it. It was nothing more than a suggestion. The suggestion is the action I'm asking about. I'm not a crazy bride. My reasoning for my suggestion is because Sebastian is the most Debbie Downer person I've ever met. The definition for that is a person with an incessant need to bring down the collective mood and general ambiance of a group chill. And he's exactly that person. Don't get me wrong, he's a sweet guy and Max cares a lot for him, and I know Seb is a great friend too. The last time we were together with Sebastian and a couple of friends in a local bar, we were talking about our future. Getting kids, getting wrinkles, gray hair, turning 30 and whatnot. When Max asked Sebastian where he'd see himself at 40, Sebastian said something along the lines of, honestly, can't see me at 40. Surprised I made it to 30. The group laughed it off, I'd say awkwardly, and Max patted him on the shoulder smiling, but that killed the vibe and changed the topic of our convo IMO. You know what I mean? That's just an example, but that's always his energy, you know? Debbie Downer is like a human dementor. Well, yeah, that was my reasoning. A few days ago, I suggested the idea to Max. I pitched my case by saying we wanted a small wedding anyway, and Sebastian is not the most sociable guy, and his energy is not necessarily the energy I want that day, you know? That's all. Max shut down my suggestion immediately, and later he said he wasn't mad at me or anything, but his face when we were having that conversation told me otherwise. Apparently, he also told her mother, she was in our place at that moment, because I was getting a weird vibe from her too later that day. I felt judged. Like I said, I'm not a bridezilla, and Sebastian is going to the wedding. It ain't that deep. But AITA for suggesting that? YTA, you feel judged? You were the one judging your future husband's friend and asking your husband to exclude a person he cares about from potentially one of the most important dates of his life. I'd be judging that if I was him too. NAHOP, all you did was ask. When your fiance said no, you accepted that and moved on. I understand not wanting him there if he is in fact a huge downer. There's nothing wrong with not wanting someone who makes their depression a personality trait, especially if they refuse to get help. I don't know if that's the case with him. I'm speaking generally here. I would be worried that because of his comments about killing himself, your husband would be more focused on him and not the wedding. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.